President Lee Jae-myung and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni held a summit on Monday in Seoul and issued a joint statement dedicated to tightening the two nations' strategic cooperation in AI, chips, and aerospace. South Korea's economy will expand by 1.9% in 2026, according to the International Monetary Fund, thanks to solid performance in overseas semiconductor sales. The U.S. push for Greenland acquisition grows, with President Donald Trump now arguing Denmark hasn't been able to do anything to get the Russian threat away from Greenland. The European Union is reportedly considering hitting the U.S. with retaliatory tariffs worth over $107 billion. We begin with the South Korea-Italy summit. President Lee Jae-myung hosted Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni at the Blue House, where the two sides addressed the broader economic partnership, as well as a peace on the Korean Peninsula and beyond. Our correspondent Yoon Jung-min starts us off.
The talks were centered on bolstering key cooperation, as Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni was welcomed by President Lee Jae-myung at the Blue House.
이탈리아 총리로서는 19년 만에 우리 대한민국을 방문해 주신 것인데 대한민국 국민들 입장에서는 우리 총리님의 방문을 많은 기대감을 가지고
After Lee called Italy an old friend, the sentiment of the bond and friendship was mirrored by the Italian leader.
Geographically, we are very far apart, but Italy and Korea have a lot in common.
The leaders announced a joint statement on Monday, bolstering their strategic partnership in fields such as AI, aerospace, and semiconductors, as well as critical minerals through the multilateral minerals security partnership.
국가의 미래가 달린 과학 분야의 협력이 더욱 확대될 것입니다. 교육 분야의 협력은 양국의 경제 규모와 브랜드 파워에 걸맞는 수준으로 더욱 확대될 것입니다.
We should put more efforts into raising productivity and achieving economic development. Above all, we agreed to do our best for the industry and the economy as a whole.
As to regional and global peace, the joint statement stated their commitment to the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, as well as Korea's partnership with the G7.
한국과 이탈리아는 국제 무대에서 가치를 공유하며 글로벌 도전에 공동 대응하고 있는 우방 국가입니다. 한반도 긴장 완화를 넘어 세계적인 평화의 가치를 함께 수호해 나갈 것입니다.
Korea is the most important partner for the G7. The war in Ukraine is very dangerous to the security in Europe and the Indo-Pacific. We will continue to cooperate with a new cooperation on a global level.
Other areas of focus were culture and people-to-people exchanges, and the safety of Koreans participating in the upcoming 2026 Olympic Winter Games in Milano Cortina. Several MOUs were signed on semiconductors, protecting cultural heritage, and jointly tackling disasters. The summit was followed by a luncheon. President Lee was invited to Italy for a state visit within the year, to which he said that his future visit will contribute to expanding the partnership that is mutually beneficial and future-oriented. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
As U.S. President Donald Trump continues to justify his ambitions to take over Greenland, the European Union has been looking to retaliate with what is known as a trade bazooka. Our An Sung-jin has the details.
U.S. President Donald Trump has affirmed that he will act on Greenland. In a post on Truth Social on Sunday local time, Trump stated that Denmark has been unable to get the Russian threat away from Greenland, and that now it is time and it will be done. This is being regarded as an attempt to justify U.S. efforts to annex Greenland, arguing that Denmark has failed to prevent Russian threats in Danish territory. As Trump's ambition to pursue a U.S. takeover of Greenland intensifies, calls are growing within the European Union to activate the bloc's anti-coercion instrument, also known as ACI. Often referred to as a trade bazooka, the ACI allows the EU to restrict trade and services, FDI, financial markets, and other sectors against third countries that economically threaten the EU or its member states. According to the BBC and AFP, French President Emmanuel Macron has been in contact with European leaders to formally push for its activation, while the chair of the European Parliament's Trade Committee has also called for it to be used. Since its introduction in 2023, it has never been used.
So again, the ACI, it could be very effective, but what the EU really needs for the ACI, and even without it, it requires unity. It requires all of the EU member states to stand together in solidarity.
The media has also reported that multiple EU countries are reviewing retaliatory tariffs. This comes as Trump on Saturday threatened Europe with new tariffs. He announced that he would impose a 10% tariff starting next month on 8 countries, including Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and France, which opposes efforts to secure Greenland, which has further prompted a widespread backlash across Europe. Later this week, European leaders will meet at an emergency summit as the EU ramps up preparations for a possible trade dispute with the United States over Greenland. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
In Switzerland, global leaders and industry players are set to make a visit to the annual World Economic Forum in Davos. From this year's agenda to key speech deliverers, our Park Jun-han has a preview.
The World Economic Forum's annual meeting will take place starting Monday in Davos, Switzerland. The forum, which runs until Friday under the theme A Spirit of Dialogue, focuses on how leaders can work together in a world marked by growing competition, weakened alliances, and rising geopolitical tensions. It brings together leaders of governments, business, civil society, and academia to tackle pressing global challenges through public-private cooperation. For this year's event, U.S. President Donald Trump is leading the largest ever U.S. delegation, with tensions already high following tariff threats against European allies, including Denmark, Sweden, and the UK, over opposition to his plans to acquire Greenland. The U.S. president will speak at the WEF on Wednesday as he continues to pressure NATO allies to support his Greenland plan. WEF CEO Børge Brande welcomed Trump's expected visit.
He's coming here, but he's also bringing 5 of his key secretaries, Secretary of State, but also Secretary of Treasury. So it's a long list. So there will be a broad American footprint.
South Korea's Trade Minister Yo Han-gu will attend the forum, where he will actively participate in discussions on restoring the global multilateral order and revitalizing trade and investment conditions. Yo is set to engage in talks with major global companies and will attend the WTO Informal Trade Ministers meeting. The WEF said more than 3,000 delegates from over 130 countries will attend this year's forum, including 64 heads of state and government, particularly from emerging economies. Park Jun-han, Arirang News.
Through an opinion piece, the Washington Post stated the world now needs to recognize North Korea as a nuclear power and to start talking realistically about concessions that Pyongyang is willing to make in return. Our Kim Bo-kyung tells us more. Though the Trump administration hates to say it out loud, it already knows that denuclearization of the peninsula is no longer an option. This is what a piece from the editorial board of the Washington Post said on Sunday. According to the op-ed, North Korea is a nuclear power, with estimates stating Pyongyang may have up to 50 assembled nuclear warheads in its stockpile and enough fissile material to produce 40 more. While citing an International Atomic Energy Agency report last June that the reclusive regime's nuclear test site at Punggye-ri remains prepared to implement a nuclear test on short notice, which South Korea's intelligence agency confirmed in November, the newspaper used this to back its view that it is time to recognize North Korea as a nuclear power. The Trump administration too acknowledges this, though it has not publicly admitted it, the paper says. Washington's changed view on the regime can be seen through its national security strategy released by the White House in December, which omitted references to North Korea's threat. The paper says the omission was calculated, showing a significant difference from Trump's first-term NSS released in 2017, where it stated that North Korea's pursuit of nuclear weapons poses a global threat that requires a global response, and that the U.S. is committed to compel denuclearization of the peninsula. China, too, omitted any reference to its long-standing goal of the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula in its own arms control white paper released in November, which was included in previous papers. Instead, the latest version only mentions working toward peace, stability, and prosperity on the peninsula.
While underlining that the best course is candor, the op-ed advised Washington to acknowledge the risks and coordinate with allies to start talking realistically about limiting the size and range of Pyongyang's arsenal. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
The International Monetary Fund has revised up its forecast for South Korea's economic growth to 1.9% this year. The 0.1 percentage point increase from its October projection reflects expectations of a gradual recovery in the Korean economy. Our Kim Junong has the details.
The International Monetary Fund has once again raised its growth outlook for South Korea, projecting the economy to expand 1.9% this year. In its January World Economic Outlook released Monday, the IMF said the forecast represents a 0.1 percentage point upgrade from October. The forecast exceeds the 1.8% average for advanced economies, reflecting a steady upward adjustment in South Korea's growth outlook. Experts attribute the revision primarily to robust semiconductor performance.
While some areas of the economy remain sluggish, semiconductor exports have continued to lead growth. Rapid gains in chip prices are likely to drive a significant portion of this year's expansion of exports, with memory semiconductor prices projected to rise by up to 70%.
Global economic growth is projected at 3.3% for both last year and this year, following upward revisions of 0.1 and 0.2 percentage points, respectively. Among major economies, the U.S. is projected to have grown 2.1% last year and grow 2.4% this year, backed by fiscal stimulus and easing monetary conditions. China is seen growing 5% last year and 4.5% this year, aided by government stimulus and easing U.S. tariff pressures. Global inflation is seen on a continued downward path, helped by softer energy prices. The IMF expects global inflation to have eased to 4.1% last year and to 3.8% this year, signaling a gradual deceleration. The IMF warned that the global economy remains vulnerable to downside risks, noting that shortfalls in AI-driven productivity and profit gains could trigger market volatility and spill over into the real economy. Kim Junong, Arirang News.
The benchmark KOSPI index broke past the 4,900 mark on Monday, driven by Hyundai Motors amid a soaring interest from foreign investors who are betting big on the automaker's physical AI technology. Our Kim Do-yeon explains.
The last milestone before the country's benchmark KOSPI reaching the 5,000 mark has been reached. On Monday, the KOSPI smashed through the 4,900 ceiling, ending the session at a record-breaking 4,904.66. This is a 12th straight day of gains, and less than just a week since it smashed the 4,800 mark. But unlike recent large rallies driven by mostly chips, the milestone was fueled by a structural shift in the market's leaderboard. The pecking order has officially changed. Hyundai Motors, which finished last week as the 6th most valuable company, jumped to 3rd place in a single trading session. Overtaking heavyweights like LG Energy Solution and Samsung Biologics, the automaker's market cap firmly breached the 90 trillion won mark, with its shares jumping more than 16%, closing at 480,000 won. This aggressive buying, led largely by foreign investors, follows the debut of the humanoid robot Atlas at CES. The market is no longer pricing Hyundai as a traditional car manufacturer, but as a physical AI platform capable of mass-producing robotics, the very engine investors believe will carry the KOSPI over the 5,000 line.
Hyundai Motor has been consistently investing in areas like Boston Dynamics. Since they are now beginning to reap the rewards of those investments, this surge in value shouldn't be seen as an entirely unexpected situation.
The frenzy wasn't limited to the auto giant. It ignited the entire robotics value chain. Doosan Robotics surged 19.14%, while Hyurim Robot jumped nearly 30%. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Korean traditional martial arts taekwondo is moving toward a possible joint South Korea and North Korea inscription on UNESCO's intangible cultural heritage list. According to the Korea Heritage Service, plans are underway to submit a joint application to UNESCO in March. North Korea filed its own application in March 2024 for taekwondo, traditional martial art in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and it's currently under review. A successful joint inscription will mark the second time the two Koreas have jointly registered an item on UNESCO's intangible cultural heritage list, following Sirim, traditional Korean wrestling, which was recognized back in 2018. K-beauty is best known for skincare and cosmetics, but a new trend is putting the focus on scalp care. From head spas to specialized treatments, foreign tourists are increasingly visiting Korea to experience professional scalp care services. Our Jung Hae-rim has the story.
At a hair and beauty salon in Seoul's Myeongdong district, foreign customers receive scalp care services. One customer sits in a chair as a specialist examines her scalp with a micro camera. Close-up shots reveal clogged pores, oil buildup, redness, and even flakes. The customer says she's seeing these for the first time. Step by step, the salon treats her scalp. From deep cleansing, exfoliation, massages, and even a waterfall-like shampoo machine, the process is meticulous. After the session, the specialist once again scans the customer's head with the camera, which shows a visibly healthier scalp.
It was really amazing, and I think clean scalp made it really special because you can see the result at the end of the treatment that you had a dead skin before, and after you don't have it and you can feel refreshed.
Clinics like this say foreign customers have surged in recent years.
Many customers decide to try a scalp spa as soon as they start planning their trip to Korea. Some even book their appointments 1 or 2 months in advance.
Scrolling through TikTok or Instagram, videos of Korean scalp treatments are going viral and are fueling curiosity. Hair salon managers say this was driven by Korean specialties.
Foreign customers really appreciate how thorough the treatments are in Korea, especially the hands-on techniques. Unlike many places abroad, scalp diagnosis and consultation are included in one session.
According to data from Korea Trip, a Korean travel platform for foreign visitors, spending on case scalp care services from January to November rose 219% year-on-year in 2025. The boom is being led by visitors from Western countries, who account for 58% of total bookings.
I was just thinking while I was getting the treatment done, I need to text my friends to look into doing something like this, because I feel like in the United States we don't have as much information about taking care of your scalp and hair.
What was once considered as a niche beauty service is becoming a must-try experience for foreign visitors to Korea. As K-beauty continues to evolve, scalp care is emerging as Korea's next global export. Jung Hae-rim, Arirang News.
Time now to take a look at what's been happening in the world of sports. For that, we have our sports editor, Paul Neitz, here in the studio. Welcome back, Paul.
Thank you. Hello.
Paul, why don't we start with football and the under-23 AFC Asian Cup. South Korea is apparently through the last 4, right?
Yes, a 2-1 win over Australia on Saturday means that South Korea have booked their place in the semis. A late header from Gangwon FC defender Shin Min-ha put Korea back in front. Australia had levelled on 51 minutes, restoring parity after Baek Gaon had put Korea 1-0 ahead on 21 minutes. The win, though, means a clash with Japan in the semi-finals on Tuesday, with the winners to face either Vietnam or China in the final. Vietnam are led by former Jeonbuk manager Kim Sang-sik. But should Korea fail to beat Japan, there's a match for 3rd place. If they win that, they'll earn a place in the Olympics next time around, along with the 2 finalists. The final will take place on Saturday at 6 p.m. local time in Saudi Arabia, or 12 p.m. midnight here.
Fingers crossed it's a repeat of 2020 then. Now moving on to badminton, Ha-seong is 2-2 for the year so far, right?
Yeah, she's really carrying on how she left off last year with how strong she is again. But An on Sunday beat Wang Ji in straight games to claim the Indian Open with match scores of 21-13, 21-11. Her diagonal attacks made it hard for Wang to read the shots, allowing An to build up strong point leads, 17-9 at one point in the first game. The India Times described the performance as a masterclass in control, precision and authority. India Today said An was like Nadal on clay, impossible to beat. It's An's 6th World Tour win in succession and 2nd already for the year, having also won the Malaysia Open last week. She's now also unbeaten in 10 against world number 2 Wang Ji. Is also her successful defence of the title from last year, having also won in New Delhi in 2025.
You know, a remarkable athlete indeed. Now, moving on to baseball, bad news for Kim Ha-seong, I have to say.
Yes, he's out for 4 to 5 months with a finger injury. The Atlanta Braves shortstop will need surgery on a torn tendon in his right middle finger. The Braves revealed that the injury was sustained after Kim slipped on some ice back in Korea last week. It means he'll miss a large chunk of the one-year deal he signed for $20 million. He's had such bad luck with injuries and missed a lot of baseball last year, playing 24 games for the Rays, then just 24 games for the Braves. Meanwhile, in other news, St. Louis Cardinals pitcher Riley O'Brien, who was born to a Korean mother, looks set to play for South Korea in the World Baseball Classic. The Cardinals have reportedly accepted an invitation from the national team for O'Brien to head to Japan to play for Korea in their 4 opening round games. The tournament will run from March 5th to the 17th.
Paul, finally to winter sports and snowboarding, another World Cup title for Choi Gaon, right?
Yes, it's her 3rd of the season, won over the weekend. Choi won the halfpipe title at the FIS World Cup event in Switzerland on Saturday, earning 92.5 points. In the final, each athlete has 2 runs, with the better score used for the final standings. The 17-year-old fell in the first run, earning just 21.25 points, but bounced back in her second run, landing a series of highly difficult tricks, including multiple spins and grabs. Choi is seen as South Korea's big hope for a first Olympic gold in snowboarding.
Let's hope so. All right, Paul, thanks for coming in tonight. I'll see you next Monday.
Thank you, yes.
The rain and snow have cleared, but brace yourselves as a serious cold snap is on the way. Cold wave warnings and advisories will kick in at 9 p.m. tonight for the central regions, the Jeollado provinces and parts of Gyeongsangbuk-do province. A blast of icy air from the north will send temperatures plunging. Tomorrow morning will be the coldest we've seen this winter. Seoul will drop to minus 13 degrees Celsius, and with the wind, it will feel closer to minus 20 degrees. Not only Seoul, but also most areas will start off with freezing conditions, with Chuncheon at minus 14 degrees, Daejeon at minus 11 degrees. Highs will rise to minus 3 degrees in Seoul, 0 degrees in Daejeon. This cold spell is going to hang around all week, so make sure you're bundled up. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is all we have for tonight. I'm Kim Dami. From all of us here at Arirang, thanks for watching and good night.